today is May the 11th, and I hope everybody's having a wonderful Saturday. I'm not off to the best morning. I left last night about 9 o'clock, drove up to Glendale, Kentucky, was going to go on up today and pick up my trailer going to Dover, Florida. And if the rest of the day goes anything like the first part of the day goes, I'm just ready to go back to bed. So, roll these windows up, maybe I had to quieten it down some for us. So right off the bat, I park at Glendale, Kentucky at the Petro pretty much every trip when I'm going to Florida. And I get here last night, found me a parking spot back off out of the way, off in the corner. And I get woke up this morning by a guy that does lawn care saying management asked him to come out and run everybody off. They're not allowing any overnight parking out front anymore. Go in and talk to the manager about it, and they said there wasn't to talk to the manager, and they said they had to get him to call me back. I sat down and got breakfast. I love the wait staff here. I love the restaurant. It's one of my favorite places to eat up down 65. Anybody that knows me know I stop in here all the time. I have since the 90s. And after being woke up and being grumpy, then my order didn't make it to the kitchen. So the little girl comes back out way later and says, I'm sorry, said they haven't started your order yet. Did you want something that could be done a little bit faster? Do you still want what you want? It's my fault. Some way or another, I put it in the computer, but it didn't make it to the back. I'm like, no, just bring me what I asked for. I don't mind the wait. Then the manager called, said that wasn't aimed at transporters or anybody doing any kind of hauling. That's meant toward people that are working at the battery plant, sleeping in the parking lot. Somebody had pulled up a big trailer and set it up like a camper right there in the parking lot, and they said that kind of stuff, they couldn't have all that, you know. So there was two guys putting those cars together. Y'all see them going down the road where it's one car towing three, and they usually towing them look like to Mexico. There were two guys pulled in at about 3 o'clock this morning, started beating and banging on those, putting those together. So that kept me up, and as soon as I did get to sleep, the other guy woke me up, told me I had to leave. So that's how my morning started off. And the manager, I've talked to two different managers this morning that say they're going to talk to a district manager and figure out a solution for that, because they don't want us going anywhere. They really want, you know, they enjoy the transporter business, of course. But whenever I pulled around to get fuel, I talked to the manager at the fuel desk, and I've known her for years, and she said she'd get something straightened out. So anyway, I pull out back, and I'm thinking on that vibration I've got, and I thought, you know what, I've had issues with lug nuts. I'm going to go ahead and I just replaced the hub on both hubs on the passenger side was on. The front one was roaring and grinding with about 8,000 miles on it. And when I took that one back, I asked him, I said, is it something I'm doing wrong? Because print out the torque specs on that again. I want to make sure everything's right. And it was the same as what I did last time. So I told him, I said, so that's where you want me to put it, because if it fails again in 8,000 miles, I'm bringing it back. He said, no, that's what it says. That's where it says to put it. So I torqued the 4 nuts down on the back side of the hub that hold it on, and the axle nut, torqued them to spec. We'll see how this goes. Then on the back one, I had an issue where the wheel kept getting loose. Come find out, when I was out in Nebraska and broke the wheel studs, it was the Dorman wheel studs, like you buy at AutoZone or O'Reilly's. There's about a 1/16 of an inch, I want to say, maybe not hardly that much, but close to 1/16 of an inch longer. When we put those on, I measured by, not with a measuring tool, but I looked at it, and from what I could tell, you put the stud in, the wheel on, and when you tighten the lug nut down, it should have room not to bottom out on the cap. Well, apparently I was wrong, because the lug studs were bottoming out inside of the cap. So I just said screw it and ordered a whole new hub. And I pulled the brand new bearings out of the old hub. They look good. I put them all back into the new hub. Everything looked good, went together good. Pulled out here to the back side of the truck parking just to kind of decompress for a minute before I got on the road. Just sitting out here with the big trucks out of the way from everything. And then I for whatever reason, I was just buying fuel, and I always reset my the mileage every time I put def in. I've got a trip counter. I reset that, and so when I reset it, I go by the tire monitor. Back left tire is low, abnormally low, a lot low. So now it looks like we're going to plug a tire before we leave. Good times. Like I say, I'm starting to wish I'd just stayed home this week, but I don't mean to argue. Just venting a little bit. And I wouldn't vent to you guys, I'd vent to everybody else, but you guys can watch this when you want to. I don't want to start bothering people on Saturday on Mother's Day weekend. Anyway, I'm going to get this tire plugged. So I went ahead and aired my airbags up to 65 PSI to get as much clearance between that fender and the tire as I could. I got my pliers laid there ready to pull it out, pull the screw out. I got the reamer or whatever you want to call that laid out. Tire plug is in the tire, and I just got a tire plug kit like this off Amazon. It is not the absolute best one I've ever owned, but it does work pretty good. It's getting me out of a bind today, and it's cheap. Let my air compressor pop off to make sure I got my air built up, and it got hot and cut off earlier. It just got hot and cut off again, so I'm just going to let it sit here and cool off. So this thing had a fuse in it. It had I think it was a 30 that it came from the factory with when I got the wiring harness to put it all together for the compressor. I took that 30 out. You can see it got hot and melted around here. That's after the compressor got good and wore out, right before I rebuilt it. And I put these automatic resetting breakers in, 20 amp automatic resetting breakers. It does fine, but it does kick them off every now and again because they just don't supply enough amperage. I did that so it would get hot and it would cut off and not hurt the compressor. I put took the higher voltage or amperage fuse out and put a lower voltage automatic resetting breaker in it. That way if something happened and it had an air leak or something, if it runs long enough to get that breaker hot, it'll kick off and give everything a chance to rest. And somebody asked me why I didn't go back with a 30, because I wanted to go with a 20. I wanted to kick off as soon as possible. I didn't think 10 would be enough. I thought 30 would be too much. But it's building up again, and it won't be long now, it'll be popping off. I say popping off, but it'll be cutting off. Now that kit comes with some stuff that's like Vaseline, and I put it on here. I mean, I didn't really read the instructions. I plugged tires before, but we're gonna go ahead and check the tire pressure, make sure it's still over 70. At least. It was up to 80 a few minutes ago. It's lost 5 pounds, it's on 75. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the screw out, and I'll shove that back into place. Sideways. All you do at this point is just run it up and down in there and ream it out so that plug will go through. And just twist it around a few times, work it up and down. And when I pull this out, I'll be putting the plug in. Alright. I got that reamed out pretty good, just going in and out, spinning circles. This is probably going to take both hands too. It'll weaken my old age. The most important thing to me, I take this off now. Most important thing to me is to make sure the plug goes all the way through the tire. So you want to push it to where, if you can tell that backside, there's not a lot left of the backside. You don't want to push it all the way through, but just a little bit more. And then I'm going to twist it around a few times, get the plug twisted. Now I've got to yank that sun gun out where it's so fast it leaves the plug in. So you just, but with it going that way, that's going to be hard to do. And because of another issue, would you believe I've got soapy water in the truck to check for leaks? let that sit there for a few minutes, but don't bubble. I'll trim the excess off. Maybe we'll be good to go. I hope. What an aggravating pain in the butt. This is a toolkit. If you do get this particular toolkit, I'll try to leave a link to it where I bought it on Amazon in the description of this video. And the Allen heads, I didn't tighten them up the first time I used the kit, and when I went to pull the handle up, it pulled off. So make sure and tighten those up really good. And other than that, I've had this thing, I don't know, I used the same tire plug kit about, I want to say it was 2 years ago in Tulsa to plug the front tire when I ran over something. So I think it's a pretty fair kit. I went ahead and trimmed the top off of this, and the best I can tell, there's no bubbles. Unless you guys can see bubbles. It looked like some on the inside, but when I spray it, they'll come back. So I'm gonna call that good. That tire's got 80 pounds of pressure in it. I'm gonna leave it at that, drive on up to Indiana, and we'll see if it falls. Well, I believe to date that is the fastest I've ever hooked up a weight distribution setup and gotten ready to leave, but the trailer is all hooked up, ready to go. Everything looks good. Walked around, checked all my lights, brakes work, doors are locked, lug nuts torqued, little caps are on, except I saw that one back there. I didn't see this one right here. Well, oh, there, now all the caps are on. Caps are on the drains. All my jacks are up. Always check your jacks, make sure they're up, because those things will vibrate loose going down the road and they'll fall down drag. Yeah, so best I can tell, I'm ready to go. Something else I was going to show. When I first bought the truck, it didn't have bed lights in it, so I put the white lights under there. That's the original stock lights. And then I found the LED strips. Man, those things are so worth the money, guys. If you thought about wanting to have bed lights, check these out. I'll leave a link in the description. They're just the LED bed strip lights. Are like 20 bucks. They change color, so right now I've got them on red because I think that looks better if I leave them on going down the road. And you can turn them to white, so they'll really light the inside of bed up. And I've just got them tied into the trailer parking lot, so when I turn my lights on, they come on. When I turn the lights off, they go off, and I don't have to worry about it. If I want to see to turn my fuel valve on, it's all lit up. If I want to see to dig something out of here, all lit up. Anyway, so weight distribution's on, battery's on, and placards, tag, all that cool stuff. Mirrors are out. I'm ready to go. And they were closing the gate when I pulled in, so I'm trying to hustle and get out of here as quick as I can. So anyway, I'll see you guys a little bit later on. Yep, back here at the Petro in Glendale, Kentucky, and this is a 32-foot Eddie Bauer travel trailer. Walk around, get a little bit better look at that here in a minute. But I want to show you guys something. Normally, every time, I've been doing this for quite a few trips in a row now, where I just go up, pick up a trailer going to Florida, and the fuel mileage I'm getting with this trailer, I don't know if the wind is just right or what, but last 31 miles, last 62 miles, which is normally around 10, maybe 11, last 404. I mean, I normally leave it right there on 62, and yes, it's 62 because it is a Canadian truck. Oil pressures in kPa and Celsius and stuff, Fahrenheit on the thing. 200 mile an hour speedometer, yeehaw. But that's pretty good. And this trailer is pulling excellent. If you got a chance to pull a 32-foot Eddie Bauer, so far, I think it's a pretty good pulling trailer. I hooked up really fast last night because I got there, they were closing the gates on me when I pulled up. But here it is. One thing I did like about it, the battery was really easy to put on. A lot of that stuff we're pulling nowadays, the battery is kind of aggravating to get to. I did put the weight distribution on, and it's riding great, but I don't know, I probably would have been fine without it. But it, to me, when you put the weight distribution on and it forces the weight back on the trailer, it pushes more weight toward the front steer axle of the truck. It just makes it ride better, and I feel like it makes my tires wear better. Even if I had a dually, I would still run the weight distribution, unless it's just a super small trailer and I'm really pushed for time. But anyway, I like walk around, kick a tire at least 3 or 4 times a trip, make sure nothing's fell off, make sure these jacks are not unwinding on you going down the road, because I've seen them things come all the way down and drag. But everything looks good. I'm about to go in, get something to eat, and talk to my buddies about why they run me off yesterday. They said they was gonna fix that up, said that wasn't aimed towards us. That tire looks low. And it feels low, so I'll probably put a gauge on that one and double check it just to make sure that it's not low. And like I said, they woke us up yesterday morning, told us no overnight parking out front, and I'm finna pull back around front because I talked to the manager at the fuel desk out here, and I also talked to the manager at the restaurant, and they said that wasn't aimed toward transporters, that would aim toward other, people trying to live in the parking lot. But I see that a lot, more and more, different places that we go, people that just live in their car in the parking lot. And we actually asked a guy about it one day up in Indiana at a truck stop. What was he doing? And was he there for work or what? And he said, no, I'm here because I can't afford rent. He said, it's either pay the rent or pay the car payment. So, and from what I'm understanding, that's what a lot of people are doing nowadays, is rents got so outrageous and everything else, the way everything else is going, a lot of people just literally moving out of their apartments and stuff like that, staying in their vehicles, going in truck stop, getting showers, going into work, coming back. But kind of sad the way things have got, in my opinion. So today is Mother's Day, May the 12th, and I just wanted to take a minute to say Happy Mother's Day to you mothers that may be watching. The Bulletpoint Mount, there's a video coming up. I'm editing it now, so that should be out very soon. Well, it is a wet and rainy day down here in North Florida, South Georgia. It's been raining since I laid down last night. I made it down to just past Jackson, Georgia last night, laid down. Got up this morning, and it's been about like this right here ever since. And look at all these trees down on the side of the road. There has been one heck of a storm come through here. I didn't realize it was like this down here, that they got hit this hard this far south. I know we got some really bad storms last week at home, but they went all around where I live. But I mean, within 50 miles of where I live, there was tornadoes and all kind of crap going on. But I mean, ever since I crossed, right before I crossed into Florida, I've been, drive for a little ways and there'll be a big section of trees knocked down and all that stuff. Some coming right out. There was one that actually looked like it went across the interstate back there. The top was in the median and the big part was over here. Here's some more right here. Well, that don't look like much. It looked like brush where they cleaned some up. But I imagine it had to have gotten pretty rough to have made this big of a mess down here. There's some more there. But they've got these pulled out away from the interstate a little bit. They've been a bunch. It was right out here on that white line. And with it been raining as much as it has, as hard as it has, the BF Goodrich KO2s that I run on here, they usually pretty doggone good about cutting through the water, but I've actually slowed down to 60, 58 and 60. Everybody has, because of the water being so deep on the road. It's a heck of a rain. This is the lightest it's been right here in probably an hour and a half. So, anyway, it's looking like I'm on schedule to get down here at 3 o'clock as long as I don't run into a bad wreck or no traffic, they received a 430. So I think I'm all in good shape on that. I have a buddy that had broke down in Ohio today, and one thing I wanted to mention: if you run a Dodge with a 6.7 in it, the crank position sensor is on the outside of the engine, right there behind the fan, at the very bottom of the engine. If you crawl up under the truck, look up toward the crankshaft, the harmonic balancer and all that stuff, where you can see the very bottom pulley on that the belt goes around, the actual crankshaft. That harmonic balancer, that crank position sensor is right there. And if you break a belt, I've known multiple people now that it happened to, where they break a belt and it comes around, hits that sensor, it cracks it or damages it, and at that point you got a belt thrown off, and you have crank position sensor damaged, and it can cause the truck not to run. That was the experience that I had with the person where I was there. Now, Frankie said his truck will start and run, but it's just, he does believe the crank position sensor is damaged because of the way it's running. So if I were to drive a Dodge with a 6.7, I believe I would put me one of those crank position sensors in the glove box, just in case I ever broke a belt, because you never know what's going to cause that belt to break. So if you don't change them, if you run these kind of miles and you don't change the belt, that can cause it. But in his case, the bearing locked up. The bearing locked up and burnt the belt off of it. So I hope David Cross is headed out there to him right now to try to get him towed to a safe spot. And then there is another guy headed up with parts, and they're going to try to get him fixed up right there on the side of the road. Anyway, he said it was nice and pretty up there. At least he's not sitting there in the rain, and he's in one of the emergency pull-offs, so he's not directly on the side of the road. So, and you run these kind of miles with these trucks, it don't matter what flavor it is, it's going to break at some point. Made it to Camping World in Dover, Florida, and they're getting the unit checked in now. There it is, all opened up. That's actually a pretty good pulling camper for its size and its length. When I saw the 32-foot on the load board, I was thinking, yeah, this thing's gonna pull like a brick. But I think I actually wound up getting a solid 11 miles to the gallon pulling it, and yeah, everything was good. Anyway, I'm about to get my battery when they get finished checking it in, get everything loaded back up in the truck, and go find something to eat. I done got hungry. There it is. These guys down here at Camping World in Dover, Florida, they got me in and out quick. Very happy with the check-in process here. And I pulled in at 10 minutes till time to close, so it's pretty good. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like early access to all of my videos pretty much before they ever make it to YouTube or any other platform, and exclusive videos that won't ever make it to any other platform, consider going over and checking out my membership site. I've left the link in the description and in the comments of this video. Go over, check it out. It's a 14-day free trial. If you don't like it, cancel it anytime. Thank you for considering. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.